Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole.
All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer was scarce, there was none to be found.
Did that stop the Grinch?
The Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he took his dog Max, and he took some black thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he whistled for Max.
Thank you, Miss Donna. Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, Merry Christmas. You know, what a great honor for me. There isn't anything I'd rather do on Christmas morning than to be right here with you guys. Really awesome. I just wish I didn't have to get up early to do it, but yeah, no, that's just a wonderful thing. You know, next year will be very interesting. It's not a leap year. Why is that important, you ask? Because next year, Christmas Eve is Sunday, and so is Sunday on Sunday. You know what I mean? So that means we're going to have a wonderful full service on Sunday morning, like we always do for Christmas, for Sunday, and then we all get to come back for Christmas Eve and do it again. You know, it'll be a full day for all of us, but a wonderful day. Wonderful, wonderful day. And I was thinking we should just go reserve a banquet hall and just stay there between the two events and then come back here. It just seems like that would be easier, you know? On that note, but Merry Christmas to everyone. We had a wonderful, wonderful time last night. We really did. You know, it really was a hootenanny. There was laughter, there was joy, there was honor, there was peace, there was all the accolades that you would expect for a Christmas Eve service. Family, community, togetherness, love. It was just wonderful, really. So I want to thank everyone, because it was a team effort to pull that off, and we did a really good job of it. Everybody did. It was just wonderful. So thank you very, very much. And our opening prayer this morning is from a daily word back in December 19th. And I chose that one because it's titled Light. And for me, Christmas represents the light of Christ that lives within us. And so the light of God illuminates me. So I invite you to just gently close your eyes where you are and just give yourself a nice reason to take a deep breath and breathe in the wonderful crisp air, the crisp air that is all over Florida. Yeah. Divine illumination is the light that brightens my way when I feel like life's darkness descends upon me. This light of spiritual understanding helps me express an energy that aligns with the peace and power of God. With it, I can bring coherence and order to scattered and disordered circumstances. I bring the light of God to whatever may be casting a shadow in my life. I use my indwelling wisdom to discern the way forward. When I receive a nudge of intuition or a flash of insight, I move forward in complete trust. I shine the light of truth and understanding when I rely upon my divine wisdom. I don't fear the darkness, I bring the light. And from 1 John 1:5, this is the message we have heard from him and proclaim to you, that God is light, and in God there is no darkness at all. And for that, we are grateful, and so it is. Amen. Amen. And now join us for our congregational song, and that means we all sing. Just put it out there. No. But Little Town of Bethlehem. This is a time in our service where we give way to that spiritual essence within us. So again, I invite you to gently close your eyes and place both feet on the ground and maybe even put your palms up to be open and receptive to all that awaits us. For this truly is the day that God has made. And blessed are those who believe. So we just take a moment to close out the outer world and just be present where you are, letting the chair support you, and we put aside all the busyness yet to come, where we've been, where we're going. I am in the presence of pure being. I am in the presence of pure being. The light of God illumines me. The light of God illumines me. I want you to take this time to imagine a light beaming directly over your head. That outer expression of a light. And I want your inner eye to see that light, to see it illuminating completely over your body, as if there's a spotlight over you. And we see that light ever so gently moving down closer to the top of your head. For the top of our head represents illumination and open and receptivity. And we allow that light to touch our head. And now we see the light coming down close to our bodies and encircling us, even with our legs and our feet. And we give ourselves this permission to let the light in, to feel its warmth, to feel its brightness and clarity. As if a candle has been lit. As we pause and breathe and allow that light to embody us, we further use our imagination to see the light within our very blood vessels running to and fro, illuminating all of our cells, all of our atoms and neutrons. We see it brighten up our brain, our fingertips, our glow, as we allow our body to encompass this beautiful light. For as we embody this light, we allow that still small voice of God to be heard, to have our ears wide open, our mind wide open, our heart wide open to this beautiful light of God. For it brightens our way. It guides us. For where there is light, there is no darkness. Darkness disappears with the light. Allow that light of God to illuminate us inside and outside. Let that light of truth and understanding glow within you. And I invite you now to bring that light into the silent recesses of your mind, where you allow the wisdom, guidance, understanding of God to move through you. Let us go into that silence now. Ever so gently, we bring ourselves back to this moment of now, and in our own gentle way, give gratitude for the opportunity to connect with the light of Christ. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Again, thank you for being with us today. So what we've done from last night's service is the Christ candle that our chaplain George lit this morning is the very candle that we used last night to illuminate the other 12 powers. And we'll use that candle until it tells us it doesn't want to play anymore, and then we'll choose another one. So today I wanted to wrap up this concept of the light. And I found, and some of you may even have had this booklet, Unity Worldwide Ministries puts this out. Unity World Headquarters puts this pamphlet out. They do 3 or 4 a year, and this was the Light and Peace Advent booklet. And for Christmas Day, Reverend Tawana Rowan wrote this, and I really, it spoke to me, and I like to think that it might speak to you as well. And it's, "Blessed are they who believe." So I'd like to share this with you. It's not too long, so just hang in there with me. Merry Christmas, rejoice, for the Lord is with us. Now, here's the thing, and forgive me for some of you that are going to go, "Oh, please don't do that." Spiral dynamics? Hang in there. The 3 layers of the spiral dynamics that so encompass churchy spirituality. When we refer to God as Lord, that's an older statement. That's more of a traditional way of calling God. We call it Lord. You see it all through the Old Testament. Well, there's a large body of Christians that believe the Lord is the way it should be addressed, right? We understand that. And we accept them anyway, right? No one's doing anything wrong. But in unity, as we progress up the spiral understanding of who we are, the evolutionary development of our beingness, we refer to the Lord as God. And then, if we go up another tier of the spiritual evolutionary process, because we stand on the shoulders of the ones that went before us, and then we call it spirit, intuition, or even the light. So when I read this, I immediately change the words to connect with what's true for me. So when I read it, it was a natural flow for me to say, "Merry Christmas, rejoice, for God is with us." And I've had some folks share with me that, do you have to do the Jesus talks? I understand where they're coming from. And the answer is yes, I need to do the Jesus talks. But I don't have to do it every week. I can intersperse it with other concepts that relate to those that are on a different spiritual evolutionary process on the spiral. Some of us, the traditionalists, want the Jesus stories. We want to hear how Jesus fed the 5,000, how the water turned into wine. But they want to hear it, even though they've heard it 18 times before. They want to hear it. Why don't you talk about that? So there's this evolutionary process, and then there's those that want to hear about above and below the line. They want to know how to have an existence in our society that brings them peace and a closer relationship with God. So I have the wonderful responsibility for meshing all of that together week after week. So I bring that up because we have some Jewish folks with us. What? Now, when they hear the word Jesus, they just turn it over to James, John, George. Because to them, it's just this guy. And it makes more sense to them. Then they can understand that there's this person that we call Jesus, who we celebrate this birth, that to them is just a regular guy that figured it out. And I kind of espouse to that thinking. So I continue. For metaphysicians, Christmas is the time we celebrate not only the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, we also celebrate the birth of the Christ, God's perfect idea of humankind. Through Jesus. As we welcome the birth of the Christ through every individual, the same Spirit of God that dwelled within and moved through Jesus dwells within and awaits the invitation to move through each of us. God is waiting for us to say, pick me. And sometimes we say, pick me, and other times we're like, no, not now. Right? That is the good news. How many of us have ever been asked, what's the good news? Did you get the good news? Especially by other Christians when they say that? Here's an explanation for what's the good news. The good news is the message of Christmas. So if you're ever asked, have you received the good news? You say, I sure have. I am so glad that Christ lives within me. They'll never ask you again. You're off the hook. Because in their minds, the good news is acknowledging that there is only one power, and that's God within me, and I better do what God tells me to do, because if I don't, I'm going someplace I don't want to go. See the difference? Right? Now, we believe that hell is right here on heaven on earth, depending on how you want to do it. And so is heaven. Heaven is what you make of it. Hell is what you make of it. And when we go below the line, it can sometimes feel like hell. When we've said or done the wrong thing, and we lay in bed going, oh man, I wish I could do that over again. I didn't mean to say that. Or above the line, yay, woohoo, I did a good thing today. However that's defined for us. She goes on to say, Tawanika goes on to say, what does it mean to welcome the birth of Christ through us? Mary, the mother of Jesus, provides a perfect example for us to follow. The first chapter of Luke recounts the angel Gabriel's visit with Mary. Mary's faith-filled response to the implausible news Gabriel delivers, and Elizabeth's confirmation of Mary's miracle. As might be the case for anyone in Mary's situation, her initial response to the news is confusion. You're going to have a baby. I thought I had to, do something with somebody in order for that to happen. Wait a second. This can't be happening. But her faith says, wow, me? A little confusing. And she holds on and she says, Gabriel's explanation that nothing will be impossible with God. Wow, that's where it comes from. With God, all things are possible. When we feel like it's not possible, we lose our faith and we take on an appearance as if we're not believers. So we have an opportunity to shift our thinking and say, I do believe in Santa Claus. By golly, I do. Right? We get to choose what we want to believe. Even though she does not yet understand the why or how, Mary quickly accepts Gabriel's explanation that nothing will be impossible with God. And she says to Gabriel, here I am, the servant of the Lord. When's the last time you guys said that? One of my favorite affirmations, which I learned very early on in Unity. Here I am, Lord, use me. Very powerful statement. Because when you say yes to God, and you're willing to follow that guidance, wow, things just open up. It's an amazing thing. And if you say it out loud, here I am, Lord, use me. Things happen. Now, we don't know what that using is going to be like. I've chosen this, but wherever we are in our spiral understanding of God, wherever that is, we have the opportunity to be a servant of God, to espouse to an understanding that all things are possible with God, to believe it, even in the darkness of that human element, that mortal stuff that can really put a number on us. Even then, all things are possible with God. Goes on to say, let it be with me according to your word, Luke. Later, Mary's cousin Elizabeth, who has also had a visit from Gabriel. Gabriel's a busy guy, right? Because he comes to Joseph, he comes to the three wise men. He's just all over the place. And Gabriel is welcoming a miracle of her own, greets Mary with the words, blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord. Do you believe? To me, that's the coming of the Christ within us. When we can believe that all things are possible, because, remember, the human mind is in a box, right? It has a beginning and an end. But with God, there is no box. Because God is in everything, everyone. The very rocks sing with joy. Yeah. God's in the rocks. God's in the chair you're sitting in. God's in the 29 degrees. There is no place that God is not. If God is everywhere, if you can grasp just that concept and go with it, and then add on, that'll be $100 made out to me. That's just the way it is. That's a DRISCOLL when you write that check. You see, because when we espouse to the idea that with God all things are possible, you see no box, no borders, and then you go one step further, and it's all good. And it's all good. Those two statements can transform your life into something miraculous. And when you add on, "Here I am, Lord, use me," watch out. Because you're going to get used in a very good way. And that using may be pulling over on the side of the road and picking up a stray dog. It could be being in a grocery line and paying for the groceries for the person behind you. It could be so simple things, or it could be the big kahuna, right? Whatever it is, when we follow the wisdom and guidance of God, it leads us to something seemingly miraculous. And we go into that miracle state of mind, which is what so many people believe with Mary, that it was a miracle. If you believe in the way that she conceived. And I say it wasn't a miracle at all. She simply believed Gabriel and went for it. Because with God, all things are possible. Science tells us we need this to happen and that to happen in order to procreate, right? But with God, not so much. If you believe in that. But the important part is that we believe that with God, all things are possible, and it's always in our highest and best possible good. You see, so when you read in the newspaper or you see something on the wonderful negative news that says he was following the wisdom of guidance of God and somebody died, not so much. Because God doesn't cause anybody to die. When we follow the wisdom and guidance of God, it does not bring us to a negative result. For anybody. And that's another concept, that's a whole other year of study on that. Going on, how might our lives, our experiences, and our world be different if we, like Mary, believed that we could be channels for the birth of the Christ? How can we be a channel for the birth of the Christ? For the expression of the Spirit of God in the world. What if we said yes to God's invitation to speak peace in times of conflict? Got him. And bring light in times of darkness? What if we are willing to offer hope to the hopeless, companionship to the lonely, and food to the hungry? What if we welcomed life, love, wisdom, power, and substance to flow through us and into the lives of every sincere seeker? What miracles we could bring into manifestation. It's one of the things that we very firmly believe in this ministry. Anybody who walks through that door is accepted. No matter what they look like, no matter where they've come from, no matter what they're seeking. This may not be where they belong, but they're accepted for who they are when they walk through that door, including wherever they are on the spiral. Whether they prefer the traditional Lord or they prefer the inspirational Spirit of God. We love them totally. We don't go home and say, "You won't believe me." No. We love them just the way they are. Because with God, not only are all things possible, but God is working through them in ways that we have no way of knowing how that looks or what that looks like. And that's the glory of being able to choose the path you want to choose and what that looks like when we follow that light, that Christ light, when we can illuminate the world into who we really are, way showers, of a world that peace is possible, one person at a time. Merry Christmas again. I love you, I bless you, and I see only the good within each of you. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. And now this is the time in our service where we give over our gifts and our love offerings, as we understand that these gifts are freely given, freely received, and we stand alone in our ministry that these gifts are what we function with. With that, let us all join in our offertory prayer together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. And so it is. Amen. Let us affirm our offertory blessing again, and this time using the pronouns us and we, together. Divine love as us blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive, and we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, guys. And our closing song is Go Tell It on the Mountain, and if you'll just all stand. And again, I wish you a Merry Christmas, and next year is New Year's Day. Next week is New Year's Day next year, and we will be doing a burning bowl and a white stone ceremony.
Shone a holy light. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. The shepherds feared and trembled when lo, the word rang out the angel chorus that here our Savior's born. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Down in a lowly manger, the humble Christ is born, and God sent us salvation that blessed Christmas morn. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Merry Christmas, everybody.